Welcome to Stars of CLODIA, where I share my teachings and experiences and knowledge in my own system, which is called Positive Stars and Manipulation. As you can read, our today's topic is how to love a Cancer sign man. Obviously, this applies to everyone who is in love with someone in this sign of the Cancer, or as we also could say, Moonchild, which is also a very nice name. Or you yourself, you might be having this Western Zodiac sign and you have difficulties in your relationships or about understanding yourself. How I do it is not like typical astrology, which does all the comprehensive deep analysis. I'm more focusing on 3 important points if we're talking about Western astrology, which is for most of you probably the thing which you know, because Asian astrology is something which didn't really go so far out of the Asian region, if you ask me. But I love the combination, obviously. But today we're talking about Western. So in this case, I focus on 3 elements, which are easy for you guys to find out in most cases. So it just requires your birthplace, time, birth, and then you can even Google the results yourself, because I love to teach people how they can help themselves. So you can find most of these simple basic data on the internet, that's what I'm saying. But in my thinking, I started to only focus on 3 elements or points, which are, as you can see here, sun sign, which most people know as your main zodiac sign in Western astrology. That's what everyone mostly knows, and you can find out just by knowing the date of birth. You can even Google it, so I will spare you guys this date things when I talk about zodiac signs, because I am really sure that everyone can figure it out themselves, because we have the internet and we have the books and all these amazing things. So first thing is sun sign, which describes your true self, as I can say in a short way. Then I focus on the rising sign or ascendant, which shows more your outer self, how you appear to others, how you behave, which doesn't mean it's your real true self, but it's more what you show outside, okay? And this is very important. And third thing I focus on, which you will also be able to read in my soon upcoming book, these 3 things. The third thing is the moon sign. Not sure if you guys have heard, if you're really into astrology or star signs, you sure know about it or you have heard about it, but most people don't really focus on it. I am here to share my experience so you guys can understand it better. So I would really love to let you know what it's about me. So here you can see my sun sign, I'm a Leo. My ascendant rising sign, I'm a Leo as well. And my moon sign is a Cancer sign. After you know, hey, there's this person, this guy I'm dating or I'm loving, or my family member, so difficult for me to understand. So hey, maybe I can have a look. There's which signs are in there, 3 important points, and then you know, okay, this I understand, and maybe maybe in your case as well, this person has a Moonchild zodiac sign in one of these 3 things, so you can think about if there's something special about it. All right, so before we really can talk about experiences or unique points about that, it's just a quick recap of what is a Moonchild person about. In my case, I'm talking about relationship with a man, because yes, I love to share my experience with you guys. I had, I think, very few but most profound experiences, which also changed me a lot and which were very difficult to me with a Cancer sign man relationships. And yeah, so even I have it in my family as well, but I can quite understand. But of course, when you love someone, it might get even trickier, because in love we all act a bit different and, you know, much more complicated, and we take things more serious or more to our heart. So what I experience, especially with men, is a big difference. We're talking about Cancer sign men or females, because Yes, Cancer is actually a very female sign. It's connected to the moon, and the moon is you can imagine, it's like a hidden, it's a bit secretive, it's a bit gloomy sometimes, emotional, a bit, but not like high emotions, more like sometimes a bit deeper, very deep emotions, secret emotions, and sometimes also a bit melancholic emotions. Obviously, you can imagine if it's connected to the moon. And females are, what I know, often quite like to carry themselves attractively, or they're like two types as I experience. Some very a bit more like they love to be very sexy and feminine, and they really embrace it, and others they are more soft, emotional, and even a bit maybe shy. And most of both men or females, they told me that, or I see what they tell me about their life struggles or how they grew up or their whole life, that they used to be very shy when they were younger, and that's why they had sometimes problems. But in many cases, when they get older, it grows out somehow. I think Cancer sign can be very successful, especially also men, because they like materialism sometimes a lot, because it gives them safety. And so I wouldn't say that they are stingy or something, but these signs sometimes like to cling to what they have. And I also see when they are sometimes lacking some other safety, they love to have the materialistic safety. For me, I'm a Leo, I'm a bit different. I never have these fears about life or about losing, but I realized a lot, maybe you guys realize the same, that people who have this Cancer, they are, especially in the main sign, especially in the sun sign, okay, they really have this fear of losing, and so they like to have a very strong foundation. I didn't meet many people in this sign which are crazy solo travelers, which don't need a stable base. It's more like opposites. They are like having a home, and they are having their things together. It gives them stability, which is great. And maybe it also helps you to understand them in your relationship with them. You know, they are maybe not so quick to change or quick to go, or even to move and change the countries, because nowadays so many people do it, but Cancer signs, they might do it, but they need the more safety to do it. And it doesn't matter if safety in a person or maybe in their business. So yeah, great. But what makes it difficult to love them? I can tell you guys, really, Cancer sign men, I had more difficulties to understand than the females, because maybe in our world, or just generally, it's generally energies. I'm not saying it's not good, it's just how it is. Men like to appear stronger, or they are even more rational and not so emotional in most cases, and they like to be strong, and they don't show too many emotions. But the thing is, Cancer is one of the most emotional signs actually, so they feel a lot, like they feel very deeply, and they also make up many things in their mind. I'm not saying make up, more like they have a lot of emotions in their mind they try to understand and hold back. So they're really complex when it comes to emotions. They're not just like, forget it, move on, you know, it's stays inside them for a very long time, no matter if it's disappointment, if it's love, if it's good experience, bad experience. They are like, which is what I think is so beautiful about them, because but I have my experiences where I'm making also this topic, especially with your men in the sun sign, or they are even females I have met, they have similarity. They don't like when you look inside their heart so easily. They like to hide. And for me as a Leo, or you might be an air sign or fire sign, which is always like, hey, tell me what's going on. So in these relationships you might struggle sometimes or find it difficult, because they don't like when you push them to open, and when you're just like, hey, tell me, come on, it gets better when we talk. They are not always like that. And what I've seen, no matter if it's celebrity people or public people, or my relationships, or people I know, family, friends, they usually have a very strong own thinking about people things, but they are not the ones who push it on to others. So I'm not saying that sometimes I felt it's maybe a bit fake not to say what you think, because me as a Leo, I say what I think and I try to be diplomatic, but for me it's people who just know and talk behind other backs is a bit fake to me. But it's just like what I experience, or sometimes made me even upset. But I think for a Cancer sign, it is just they are not this temper characteristic that they spill everything and they get aggressive about their thinking. It's like, because many things happen in their own mind, and maybe that's more a shy way of having opinions or thinkings, and they also don't really like to tell people right in their face when they don't like something about them. They are, you know, a crab, you can imagine the animal, it has a shell and it's hard and inside it's soft, and it's vulnerable, so they don't like to show. And especially I sometimes really almost gave up, or yeah, I already gave up in my life with someone like that, because when it really is important to speak about relationships, especially when you get older, more mature, you know, you need to know what's up with someone, or you cannot really have a real relationship. I mean, so I really found it difficult to get too close to them when they feel it's too emotional, or they could show their vulnerabilities. They really sometimes step back, they close their heart, they close their shell, and you cannot really get close, and they even make sometimes jokes or just pretend that there's nothing. But when you're an intuitive person and you feel that there's something, because they're really men, in my case, we're talking about relationships, or people, they don't have these deep emotions, or they are like really say, hey, it's fine, okay, and you feel they are really fine, okay. But with them, they might say it's okay, I don't want to talk, or they stop talking, or they even step back, they don't even react anymore. It's mostly there's something happened inside, and that's what really I want to teach a Cancer person, a moonchild, that they need to start opening up a little bit more if they want to have a successful relationship. Because I am very honest with you, I've seen people with this sign not having relationships anymore, because they even when someone is really important to them, they are more afraid to show their vulnerabilities, even though this person wouldn't even do something bad about it. They would even take care, they understand you, but their own fear of being vulnerable and emotional makes it sometimes impossible to have a real lasting forever relationship, because they kind of sometimes, you know, closing the shell, or as you could feel, running away from emotions, even though when you're with them and they open up, they are really emotional, they are romantic, they can be. And I once talked to another person who's doing astrology very well, it's long ago, about this topic, and I love to teach about experiences, because often we can see patterns much more than in just theory. So in my experiences, when I talk about relationship with a Cancer sign man, maybe it's similar to females. There are two types which I've seen. It's one type which already when they are young, they love to be emotional, they're more maybe a bit more soft. They might even look for a very strong partner, which is totally fine, but they really love them, they're romantic, they're not afraid to show their emotions. And yes, it might sound like a dream vision, but these guys mostly have really normal and good long-lasting relationships, because yes, there are really many females out there who love these kind of guys. Hey, I don't know why, but sometimes Cancers I men think that females don't like emotional men, or who can be emotional at sometimes, or romantic, or even soft. But that's not true, because you know, only my teaching is always its way. I do it when you show your real self and understand it, especially what's going on in your rising, in your moon, and even in your Asian. Only when you know yourself can you be your true self without feeling regret or shame and all these things. And when you know yourself and you know what you should do, because that's what defines you, like your sun sign, that's you. You can never change it. No matter if your rising is totally crazy, but if your main sign is, for example, emotional sign, my advice is always, if you look for real relationships, you should really respect your main sign, because it's not just what someone outside sees, it's what you really are. And when you're with someone, you should be what you really are. And if you're emotional and you love romantic, yes, you should embrace it, because only then you can find someone who loves you for you really are. So I see some Cancer sign people, they're looking for more matching partners for their rising sign, but often it doesn't work out well, because inside they have all these emotions, and outside maybe they are really rough or really easygoing. But if you don't listen to your main sun sign, one day you might end up not feeling your true self in a relationship, or you're feeling your real needs are not met. It's just like the superficial needs. So this is very important for Cancer sign men. For me, I really would, if I could tell them, of course it's up to them or up to people, but I tell you, be yourself and know your emotions. And especially if you want a real loving relationship, find someone who loves that about you. Don't try to hide it, because for what? You want to live it, right? I mean, it's the real you, and it's so beautiful when people live their real main sign. So not trying to fight against it. I've seen people in the Cancer sign, they try to fight against their emotional and softness. I mean, it can be cool sometimes, but not in the long run. So the other one is the one who doesn't accept that they have an emotional main sign. They try to only, as I said, listen to their rising sign, which could be a much more like a fire sign or easygoing air sign or anything else, you know. And then these ones, as I can tell from experience, are usually ones who are not in long-lasting relationships, who don't even accept relationships anymore. Sometimes they're even afraid, or they say, I don't want this anymore. But it's just because they didn't really learn to embrace what they really are. And they are afraid to show it to a woman or a partner, or even in other cases, just talking about my relationship experience. So in this case, they might not really be able to fulfill their own true self and live a really loving relationship, which is really some missing out, because we have this one life here. And I think being emotional can be so beautiful. In my case, maybe because my moon, we'll talk about it in another video about the moon sign importance. I love men or people who have these emotional parts, and I really think it's so much depth and so inspiring. But when you make it difficult and you think it's not appropriate to be like this, it usually leads to confusions, to pain, or even to breaking up with people who love you and who love you for what you are. So even if you want a soul changing, you want to develop your soul, what is the most important thing, you guys? Being yourself, your true self. And in astrology, I love to combine both things. It means following your main sun sign, or understanding that this is the true self of you, which needs to be happy, okay? So guys, this is just a short video. There's so much more to it, obviously, but I just love to give you guys a little inspiration how to deal with someone and what kind of things to check for if you are with someone. Yeah, all right. I hope this helped you guys, no matter if you yourself are born in this zodiac sign or if you know someone. It is, yeah, you might say now, but I know someone who has the Cancer in the rising, how does it work? You can take some of these experiences as well for them, because they have similar fears. But then if it's just a rising sign, or in my case a moon, you really should know that it's just some part, but it's not the main person. And I've seen people who have the zodiac sign of the Cancer sign in their rising ascendant sign, which have not the same problems or difficulties, as I would lovely say, and but they have obviously their outside behavior might also be a bit fearful and about losing and emotional and a bit, you know, but it's really a bit different. So, well, I hope I can answer your questions in more videos to come, and I just hope you guys love my system, how it can work in your daily life, and just the easy way figuring out things. But obviously every person is different, every relationship is different, but I think when we look at patterns, there's always some clues that help us to understand the bigger picture. Well, that's it for today. I wish you a beautiful day and some sun and some nice nights with wonderful moon. So guys, I'm sending you lots of star-filled lovely energy, and let me know if you have questions. And yeah, subscribe if you want to see more videos. I'm just taking time to make more content about it, and I always hope to inspire you to be happier and to be yourself and understand yourself and your relationships better, because actually it's so beautiful.